Hello, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. We're heading back. We worked very hard this afternoon with a man who is helping. He's traded some pickleball court time with the coaches so that we could, and I went over and helped. The old lady did. And then the daughter and her friend got home from work while we were about finishing up the stuff, and I had let the shop vac got loaded. Jammed. I didn't realize. So there's dust all over. My fault. I will go back later at some point, maybe next week when they're gone, and sweep. Because I didn't notice. I was using an angle grinder on the floor. So anyway, the job is pretty much chipped. We're going to meet back in 2 days to pull out the refrigerator, the stove, and the dishwasher, get the tile and chip out the concrete, and then angle grind the floor with it. So anyway, it's been quite a adventure, and I realized, had it not been for my pain, I would not have, in many ways, kept pushing myself to do things. So anyway, I don't know why somebody's beeping, but not at me, they're not. But anyway, there's many reasons to be positive about suffering and all the different things I've learned, because my income was low for one thing. I had to learn all that construction on the island and plumbing, and I had already learned, home decorating and wallpapering and painting and laying floors on an old house I had. So I just handle stuff myself without hiring people. I didn't have the money to. So there's when I realized just all that this pain and suffering have given me in life, it's really amazing. And the doctors I've met, the nurses I've met, kind people, and not kind people, so many people to pray for, and other people who suffer, who don't understand, about God, so we can witness and do all that. And the dogs, I would not have gotten these two. Not at all. I wouldn't have gotten them had it not been for pain, because I needed somebody to force me to get up. Lovey did a good job this morning of forcing me up. He started in early. So didn't you, Lovey? You want to say hi, Lovey? Hi to the phone? So anyway, it's been a really wonderful day, Tuesday of Holy Week, and to understand how Jesus handled pain and suffering in a different way with other people, how he handled those who did things to him with a lot of love, people who didn't understand him, and or who used him, like Judas used him. Thought, oh, good way to make some money, and they're going to kill him anyway. He probably thought that they're going to kill him anyway. I may as well make some money on it. It's going to happen sooner or later. See how our minds get beaten down by the devil, tempted. And that's, how people can think when they're in extreme pain. Also, they can think, well, I'm going to not make it anyway. I may as well just end it now. Just get out of this. Why suffer more? But we'd miss out on more adventures with P&S, pain and suffering, and more closeness with God, and more encounters with people, and people who need help. My cousin called last week, and I told her about what I had discovered finally, that there is no real enjoyment in life when you think of enjoyment, like most people think of it. But I said, if I find God in the situations or in the pain or in the mundanity of what little bit I can do, and so slowly. But I said that makes it enjoyable to find God in it. And she said that helps me so much. And then she wrote the most beautiful text message of just how much it really helped her have purpose again. Because she was feeling like like I was feeling before, and like anyone can start to feel. So, she says, all I do is, just fix this, get the supper ready. I can't do the cleanup. Her son and husband do all that. I'm just around here. But I said, but you do that. And see God in everything you do. And you talk with me. I was ready to have someone communicate because the neighbor wasn't anymore. So, and it wasn't much with the neighbor, but it was not just nothing. So, even hermits had another hermit who would be in touch now and then. So it was nice that she called. Anyway, there's just so much joy in suffering in its own sense, of how our lives changed, yes, but not all for the bad. Plus, it slowed me down. I noticed details. That's what I did most of the time until I started using the angle grinder and didn't notice that the shop vac was clogged until I saw this couple of big poofs of dust go out and the whole room was filled with dust. So then I knew, oh my, need to empty this shop vac, but it's too late. But otherwise, I was just tediously chipping away at edges underneath the counter and edges. I brought a sanding block with some of my coarsest sandpaper to areas I couldn't reach in. And I brought a big long file that I used as a chipper because it's the longest thing I had that had a edge that at least chip away at some of the gunk that was up underneath the cabinets in what's called the kick plate area, kick space, where all about that fits under there is your toe of your shoe. So I couldn't get a sander under there. I couldn't get my normal chipper blades under there to hammer it out. And so it took a long time of soaking it and tedious. I have learned to be how to handle tedious things through pain and suffering, and to notice details, being in bed so much and time to think, and to write notes to people. People don't get letters anymore. I wrote a letter to my aunt. She's going to be 102. Someone will read it to her. She always loved doing things like this. I think maybe I got influenced by her somewhat. And so I wrote the things that I'm working on. I said, granted, it's very, very slow. It'll be a couple more years if I live that long to finish. But I said, I'm back, trying to build up again after being sick. And sorry I hadn't been in touch. Well, I don't call. She can't really talk on them. She can't hear. She can barely eat. She chokes. And, food drip. It's just, and she took such good care of herself. Plus has had good genes. But anyway, I think she'll be happy to hear about what projects. She always liked to hear what projects I was working on, because that was things she used to do and she could relate. And she loves decorating and styles. So I mentioned the paint colors and they're all neutrals, and explained LVP flooring, luxury vinyl plank, and how that's used now. She wouldn't be familiar with that. So it's just relationships with others. But I wouldn't be even, if I didn't have to push myself to keep going, to keep the arachnoiditis from being so bad, so that I would be bedridden and then have to have care all the time. It's all motive for why I'm pushing myself. But ultimately, it's a blessing then. Because I feel so much better when I'm doing manual labor because my mind is far away from the pain. I was just chipping while this friend of theirs was using the hammer drill with the chipper blade. And earplugs in, and my mind was taken far away. I don't know where. I think with God, pain and suffering did that. Because I had to learn to distract from it. And it was very helpful to learn contemplation that way. To let the mind leave the body. I've already mentioned I wouldn't have had these two little puppies. They're so good. Aren't you good, Lovey? He's got his big head right here, but it's underneath the phone. There. See him right there? There's Lovey and Mercy. So anyway, and 3 hours went so quickly. Just doing mindless. But the daughter and a friend, they were so relieved to see so much done. And the tedious part is, I think, harder, more stressful for people who don't have the suffering and aren't used to tedium. So we can help other people in that way. Do tedious things for them. And I'm always not always available, but she has some time tomorrow, and we agreed I need a rest day. I need a day off, or do a few things around my place, little things, straightening up. I'm going to put all the different screws and bolts and different sizes in little baggies and mark them and get all that off the counter. But yeah, so it's pain and suffering are pals, are companions for life. For some of us, they are. Lifelong pain and suffering. Oh, anyway, that's interesting, isn't it? How the Holy Spirit, thank you, LS, for thinking of this and having an inspiration from the Holy Spirit herself. I'd love to comment. So I realized this morning it was the Holy Spirit telling me who was going to be with me today, pain and suffering, and all of the positive aspects of pain and suffering. Dear friends they become. And another benefit, we get used to it. I can tolerate so much pain now. It's amazing. I think I told you about the experience after Mass one time, way back. I think they were angels that came into the church. They were like humans, but no one had ever seen them before. And the one knew where all my pain areas were, and told me that she felt my pain and that it made her want to vomit. My pain was so bad, and that was years ago. It wasn't nearly like it is now. So we learn suffering and can handle more and more pain, so that surgeries aren't, well, I mean, unless they fail. That failed knee surgery was painful, I have to say. I even got down on my knee this afternoon, my bad knee. Not for long, but I tried it, I did it, pushed through. I had to get under the cabinet in one spot. So pain did that. Pain made me do it. So, not to be silly about it, but it's true. Just a different perspective, God's perspective, Jesus' perspective on suffering. Anyway, that's what I have benefited today and learned of. that I hadn't thought of before. All these aspects about PNS. My pals, PNS. Signing off now.